I think when it comes to talking about like what leads into why I love making science fiction stuff now has everything to do with I can remember the exact moment that turned me into a sci-fi hardcore fanboy in the first place. And that was when I was 3 years old. My dad let me watch Alien and Aliens back to back with him at the house. And I was hooked ever since. There's just no one about it. Both of my parents were hardcore science fiction people. My mom even more so than my dad. She's a Trekkie, always has been, always will be. And I don't know, anything that had to do with like space and just something that the idea of science fiction is the furthest reaches of a person's imagination through technology, through advancements of things that could be in a big unexplored area, just kind of fires, gets my brain firing in a way that, like nothing else does. So that's what really, that's what led me into where I am now, and it's only become an obsession ever since. So the reason I went into like laser engraved pieces on a wooden medium are mainly because I'm a big fanboy for art as well, and I've not ever really seen it before, and I know a lot of folks would really like to have something unique in their homes. I know that I would, and I make my artwork based on things that maybe I would like to see, or I always like new things, especially. So getting to make that attempt at something that I hadn't really seen before was really fun. It's a really fun experience. It's very difficult too, because there's no real frame of reference to work with either. And I love it. Also allows me to combine like science and math with art to be able to create something that has a very like a unique presentation of that kind of these iconic characters, or my own like original concept pieces and stuff like that. And it gives a kind of hopefully a fresh vibe to how the artwork actually is even presented. I chose to work with a laser because there's no other way to achieve the look that I was specifically trying to go for. Pyrography to me is not very appealing. Hand carved pieces like the old litho type is kind of it doesn't darken the wood, and it doesn't garner for any kind of detail work, not at that level. You can do metal engraving at that kind of level, but you also don't change you don't change doesn't go through a physical change like it does, or like a chemical change like it does, with the laser. Where what I think is really cool is that like getting to utilize and kind of bring in a very technological piece of machine like a laser and apply it to fine art. I also really kind of portrays the message of where science and art can live together in a happy world and create something unique. And that's really one of the core reasonings behind everything that I do, is I get to apply math and science and illustration work to convey a message in a unique way that I haven't really seen anywhere else. Learning to understand how it reacts with the wood so that you kind of intuitively draw a specific way. I can look at this point, I can look at a drawing and know exactly how it's going to engrave in the wood. When I started out, I'd go through 10 tests on a drawing, having to make alterations because I couldn't understand why they would burn it in a certain way when I would do this type of stroke or this type of, shade variation or anything like that. And it's been a very fun process. Now it's always developing further, and it's always gets more and more interesting each time. I think imagination is really just kind of reaching into the back of your brain and coming up with things that either don't make sense or have this story to tell, or creating just a new story in general, whether it be, like a very abstract message that you want to convey or make it very deliberate. Whether you can make things more fantastical than real life. Science fiction I like science fiction more than anything, especially when it comes to imagination, just because it really bridges the gap between, very imaginative, extraordinary events or stories and relates them to the real world, unlike anything else. And that's really important to me. I find that to be the most, enjoyable realm of things to go. All right, well, if there's one thing you need to know about me is that I have a general level of hatred for ignorance, more than anything there is. Like, when it comes to stifling education, when it comes to using blatant ignorance to just stifle the creativity and you always hear folks talking about bringing America back to the way we used to be, but America used to be all about, and whatever reasons it was for, used to be all about exploration and invention and creation of new things, and we don't really do that as much anymore. And I create a lot of these a number of pieces that are really trying to point out that to satisfaction, how we've basically stifled ourselves more and more each day. This anti-intellectualism movement that I keep seeing, spread across social media and all these different platforms, it kills me a little bit inside. So I'd rather try and do, even if it's a small part of, and maybe inspire at least somebody to want to go and recapture that feeling and become that type of person, then, I'm satisfied as an artist by doing that. That's really what I hope for. My name is Space Wolf. You can find my work at spacewolflimited.com and follow my Instagram, where all the good stuff, and not so good stuff, whatever, gets posted regularly at Spacewolf Ltd.
This is one business in the world where there's no problem at all. Everything